It's Friday, 11th of April 25, and I'm looking at the council by-election results last night in the UK. There was three, and I'm looking for them to see how Reform are getting on from a Reform perspective. I want them to trounce Labour, etc. Well, everybody, really. Uh, Not because I support them, really, just as a protest vote on one issue, because it's all we've got, really. An Overton window shift. And yeah, it's definitely happening. I mean, the big result was in Tameside, which I think is round about Stoke area, and that's sort of Angela Rayner territory, you know. I think, to me, it says that they've lost the traditional working class towns and that. They can forget it, really. The whole Northern Wall will turn against them. Um, so here it is, Longdendale, Tameside, council by-election result. Reform 46.6%, and that's a newcomer. I mean, it's a new. They've never stood there before. Labour down 32% to 25%, so they must have taken a lot of that for Labour. Tories 12%, they're down 10. Greens 12%, down 4. Independent 3.9. I wonder who that is. I'm presuming it's someone who represents the whole community rather than an identity candidate, I don't know. But Reform gain from Labour. So that's a remarkable result. Let's see what people are saying. uh, I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious. I mean, this is probably a very traditional working class area, very Labour. Apparently, it's been Labour since 1979. I thought it would have been longer. I thought it would have been since the war or something, but maybe it changed a bit naturally. So in 79, it changed, or maybe the constituencies, the actual geography of it changed. But now you'd think they're actually voting on one issue, I would have thought. Let's see.
This is meant to be a safe labor ward. They've held it continuously since the 1970s. This is huge for reform. 7 reposts. Repost.
Yeah, it's just no one's giving me any more information. I mean, it was a low turnout, 27%, but they always are, council elections. I mean, really, I don't think the, the parties want you to vote, really, in a way, or the incumbent party. Here's somebody who might have a bit of info. Councillor Powell.
Impressive result, and obviously by-elections have their own dynamic. I've been canvassing a lot in the traditional labor areas with similar demographics to here, and there is very real frustration with their votes splintering everywhere. I suspect in a lot of places it will go to whoever can show they are the best placed alternative. They are very lucky they have so few seats up this year.
No, never really told me anything. I mean, personally, I think it's because of one issue. It may be more, actually. It may be to do with the winter fuel payment and the benefits cut and the welfare cut, disability benefits, and what else? Because Keir's doing things, in my opinion, like, he's actually doing things that Nigel Farage and John Redwood would appreciate, the thing he done with, because like the thing he done with disability benefits, Nigel Farage was asked, do you agree with him? And he says, let's see if he gets it through. Because it goes through the three readings. He will get it through. But I think what Nigel was saying was he does agree with him, but he doesn't want to say that. You know. So really, he's doing that. He done the winter fuel payment, which I think was correct, but it's a bribe to the a big majority of who vote. The elderly, because for them it's a day out it's a Thursday, it's a working day. the election. For them, it's a day out, and old people vote in big numbers. So, I mean, probably all, it was Tony Blair who brought that in, or I think, but probably all of them have thought we need to get rid of this because I think it was costing about 2 billion in the end or whatever. When you think of that, the disability cut was like 5 billion they were going for. Um, but yeah, uh, yeah. So Rishi Sunak and all that, they didn't do that with the winter fuel payment. They didn't scrap it, even though they probably wanted to, because they knew that they would lose voters. But the way Keir's thinking is we only get to vote every 5 years, so we've got 4 years to win them round. They don't really have an alternative, although we do now with reform. The only alternative is the Tories. And I mean, I think he's thinking wrong completely, because now they're going to, traditional Labour voters are going to vote reform on one issue, a different issue. So it's not going to be cyclical or whatever, you know. It's going to be a big change, and I think Labour are going to get totally wiped out, actually. And Keir himself, he's a sort of like a strict dad that's not really fair, you know. He doesn't really have. I mean, we don't have a Star Marista young group of people, you know, like they had Corbynistas. He's got no support really. He only got 33% out of 59% who voted. It was one of the lowest turnouts ever. Um, and he's doing these big changes that aren't really Labourish at all. They're actually sort of centre right, maybe even a bit further apart from, and even on immigration, illegal immigration, he's talking like Nigel Farage and that. But on legal immigration, he's not. He's the opposite. Um, and basically, he's going to make a lot of asylum people, they can get legal routes rather than having to come over in dinghies and that, you know. So I think nobody likes him really. So he thinks he's, and he did lie to get to become the leader as well. He said he was going to follow Corbyn's plans and that. He had that second Brexit thing when he was in Brexit Minister for Corbyn, which probably sunk Labour more than anything else. It's 2019. So, yeah. So I don't think it's going to work out for. In fact, I think Labour might have to call a general election very soon, cause I mean he wouldn't. You know, he would. He, the kind of guy he is, he wouldn't. But it's getting to the point where they've got 22% of the vote. You know, they're becoming almost a minority party, like, really, who's got 2/3 of the MPs. Yeah, so I just wanted to point that one out, really. Let's see, is there anyone else talking about it? And then there was another in Harrogate in London. The Greens smashed Labour, which people are saying that this is probably a Muslim vote, basically, um, about Gaza.
Either really woke middle class area or full of Muslims. North London, so possibly a combination of both.
So if they're not losing to the Greens or an identity party, which many Labour MPs will lose to next time, it's reform. The traditional vote's going for reform.
This is what we warned you about. At Herringdale Dot. You're anti-eco, anti-disabled, anti-neighborhood, anti-nationalization of energy. You support jet owners and arms companies before low and middle incomes.
I mean, basically he's losing everybody, every type. I think he's trying to get the centre right, traditional voters, traditional Brits of the centre right, but I think he's totally finished, Keir and the Labour Party.
11apr party gained from Rubber Dinghy Rapids Party.
So, yeah, that was another. And then there was another one, I think the Lib Dems won it. I think the Lib Dem voters are in a planet of their own, really. You know, they're ostriches with their sand, heads in the sand, really. And here's a new poll out today: Labour 24%, Reform 24%, unchanged. So I mean, we get three parties now who could win. Two of them centre right, or right, if you want to call them. And the right has 46% of the vote compared to 47 for the other side, the left. But we've always been a left country, but that's going now because of our party system. I don't agree with our party system. I think it should be referendums on single issues, but I think everybody's voting reform because of one issue, really. Uh, so that's a huge swing, 21 points. That'll be about Gaza, basically. It will be people, newcomers to Britain. Let's see what. And there is reform gains. First council seat in Tameside. So that's sort of Angela Rayner's. Look at that, and they absolutely smashed the other ones. So Labour in big trouble in my opinion. Keir probably thinks it's okay. Well, it's cyclical. We'll get them round by year 4. It's not going to happen because we get to vote every 5 years. That's really kind of them, isn't it? We get to vote for a party hamper. Although Keir doesn't actually tell you what was in the hamper. A lot of stuff he didn't say he was going to do. Same as Trump, with stuff about Canada and Panama.
I used to think the UK had a predominantly progressive electorate growing over the years that supported renationalizing water, for example, but now I am starting to think they have all left the country to rot.
So on one issue, it's a cry for help, really. So
Good result for reform, though Tameside Council has serious issues and several councillors were involved in the Andrew Gwynn WhatsApp fiasco and either resigned from Labour or were suspended.
I think this is to do with the guy who was insulting Labour voters, and I don't blame him really, but I don't think it's got anything to do with that because they wouldn't vote reform. They would vote Lib Dem or Greens or whatever. I mean, if you want nicer than Labour, if you want to vote for the nice party, you should really be voting Greens anyway rather than Labour. Why young people get excited about Labour, I have no idea. I mean, if they, if the socialists should be getting behind the Greens, really. I'm not behind the Greens, I'm just saying that. I mean, I'm voting reform in one issue, so yeah. But I don't think there's any way back for Labour, really. And nobody could have been worse for them than Keir Starmer, really. Like, he done the dirty on Corbyn, then he done the dirty on the electorate because he wouldn't tell the things he was going to do, like the winter fuel payment, taking that away. Yeah, that's it exactly. So, this is Jonathan Reynolds' constituency.
Jonathan Reynolds' constituency. He'll be crapping it. 38 views.
So, I think we should have a electoral system like Switzerland, but this is good news anyway. At the moment, all I'm bothered about is one issue, and for that, reform's the only option really at the moment. They're not any good in it with their net zero thing to do with it, but they're seen as the baddies, so you've got to vote for them. Overton window shift. So tell all the parties your current view is unacceptable on this issue. So now the Lib Dems won Sutton. I don't know where that was from. Well, they already had it, and they'll get even more. Labour's vote crashed. Um, yeah, but I just wanted to point out, really, Tameside. I think Labour are finished, and it's good. And so, anyone, in my opinion, if you're worried about women's rights and LGBTQT plus and that, personally, I think you should be voting reform now. Especially if you vote Labour, Greens, SNP, Lib Dem, and that. So, all right. Bye for now.